Introducing them.
You'll find our next guest in the drawer labelled National Treasure. From comedy to acting to writing, he always strikes gold, and his latest kids' book, Diary of a Wicked Witch, is out now. So please welcome the all-killer, no-filler, Ben Miller!
Ben Filler!
Oh, really, Till? Ben, how are you, mate?
I'm really well.
We have to forgive Tilly. You're a very forgiving human being anyway. I'm not, but we have to forgive her for that because she was in charge of the Oasis competition, and the pressure was unbelievable because everybody wanted the ticket so much.
Have you been?
No, I've not been. I'm going tomorrow. That's the thing. So I had a spare ticket, which I can't.
Amazing.
I'm not allowed to give away on the radio. Well, that's our excuse.
Yeah.
And so we just had a bit of fun with the team, and I thought they were all going to be like, I thought a couple of them would say, no, do you know what? I'm so lucky. I've been to so many gigs, and they went, no. We all want it. So, it was almost a fight to the death just now.
That's fantastic. And I gather that it's Frank that...
Frank, it is Frank.
Yeah, lucky
22
Frank.
years young.
Yeah.
Punch in the air. He's the most junior member of the team, and you know what they say, last in, first out. I think he's basically just handed his resignation in.
Yeah,
by winning the competition.
He's off. He's winning. He's all the way.
Yeah, all the way.
I watched the first 4 songs on YouTube. I would love to go to the gig, so I feel very sorry that I missed that segment.
You could have entered the competition just
I feel
earlier.
like I could have held a note.
Could you
longer than Frank?
Right.
I think.
Do you know what? Do you want to give it a go?
I'm going to give it a go.
Okay, so Frank held it for 19.6 seconds, right? So, and by the way, it starts at sunshine, so it's not just the holding of the note. You get it. You get everything in there.
By the way, if I get more than 90 seconds, does
19.6
seconds. 19.6. Does Frank have to give me the ticket? Is that what we're doing?
I'm going to leave that up to you and Frank. You can take it outside.
What's Frank? You can have a nod from Frank.
Take it to the car park, mate. But do you want to have a go?
I want to have a go. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Of course, I want to have a go.
They went loud. I think go soft.
Go soft.
But you're a singer anyway.
No, well, not really.
And you are.
Wow.
I've seen you singing.
Yeah, I've sung, but yeah. I mean,
I've seen you singing and getting paid for it.
Okay.
So either you're having them over or you are actually.
Is this
singing.
a psychological thing? You're trying to psych me out?
No. You're a
building me
actor.
up.
I think I could go 30 or 40 seconds personally, but that's myself.
I'm getting nervous now.
But 19.6, you must have all been nervous because that's not that long, is it? Right, off you go. 1, 2, 3. That's 16 seconds.
Faded at the end there.
17. You gave it 17.
17.
But also, you didn't say sunshine. You just said, it's like you're going to the doctors.
Yeah. Nobody said sunshine. Nobody clued me on that.
You're like, sunshine.
So you'd have disqualified me anyway.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
Now, Ben's got a new book out. It's called Diary of a Wicked Witch. If you go into the bookshop and you scan, it just looks like another Wicked book, right? Because now that's very clever.
Well,
I'm not saying you did it on purpose.
I'm not saying I did it on purpose either. Because
because you didn't do it on purpose.
Of course, no.
Because if you did, that would be actionable, and you didn't, so it's
We'd
not.
be in all sorts of trouble, wouldn't we,
Yes,
Chris?
but it's funny because we had Boris Becker on the show this week with his diary, his prison diary. And this is our second prison diary of the week.
Second prison diary. Can I say something about that photo?
This is a little lighter than his.
A little bit lighter than Boris's experience at Wadsworth.
Yes,
but
correct.
Can I just say, the attire that the witch is wearing, you're saying that's a copy of the witch from Wicked. I'm going to come back.
I didn't say that. That's what you heard. I didn't say that. You hear what you're going to hear.
What I'm going to come back with is, those clothes are based on my wife's going out outfit.
And the defence rests.
She has that jacket.
Mistrial!
She has those shoes. She has that jacket with the leather. That's my wife's sort of rock chick.
And
look.
you know where she bought them from? The merch stall at Wicked the Musical.
I walked right into it.
Darn her. So Fairy Tale Woods. So the Diary of a Wicked Witch is the witch finding herself in jail. Well, first of all, up before the beak.
Yeah.
For crimes committed.
Up on the beak. Well, she's the witch from Rapunzel. You know what happens with the witch in Rapunzel? She imprisons her daughter in a very tall tower. There's no stairs to get the tower. There's no doors to get the tower. When she visits her daughter, she climbs up her daughter's hair.
Yes.
In some of the illustrations, the hair's wound round a sort of hook outside the window, which I think is the more humane way of doing it.
Okay.
Because that presumably is not then causing a lot of, tension on on the daughter Rapunzel's hair.
Yeah.
Some illustrations, the witch is actually just climbing straight up the hair. Rapunzel's sort of got her head out the window and she's climbing straight up the hair. Anyway, the Fairy Tale Woods police decide this is not on.
Okay.
And she needs to be punished. So she's either going to jail or she can go on a wickedness management course.
This is so funny.
Which is a bit like a speed awareness course.
I love it. I love it. We started off the show today, which seems like a year ago, saying how quickly this week had passed and that it might get done for speeding because this week has been illegally fast.
Fast.
In the book, there are various characters in the book. Rapunzel makes an appearance, the prince makes an appearance, and they have a wicked rating, don't they?
They do. So basically, when she turns up, like you do on a speed awareness course, you meet lots of other naughty drivers. When she turns up at the, wickedness management course, basically she meets all the other witches from the fairy tales. So we've got the wicked witch from Snow White who tried to poison her daughter with an apple, her stepdaughter. We've got the witch from The Little Mermaid who basically stole the Little Mermaid's voice, right?
Yeah.
Promised her that she could go on land as a human if she could steal her voice. And the Little Mermaid wanted to meet the prince, so she accepted the deal. Finally, we've got Baba Yaga, who's my favourite, who's this really weird Slavic witch who basically eats children. She's just your straight up. 100%.
Pop the children in the blender.
Pop the children in the blender. Swish them down with a couple of frog's eyeballs.
Witch.
Yeah, proper evil witch.
It's a funny thing. It's a lovely, funny thought, isn't it? A wicked management course.
So they've got to play trust exercises.
And they've got
to cast good
wands
spells.
Confiscated.
Yeah, they get their wands confiscated. They get a special ankle bracelet put on, which stops them casting any evil spells. And But what I do want to get to about this story is the point is that I think it's not. Obviously you don't want a witch to be. You don't want a witch to be bad because they cast nasty spells, do terrible things to people. But what we also learn in the story is you don't want a witch to be good either because that's really boring. Then there's everyone in the fairy tale woods
for the sake of entertainment.
For the sake of entertainment.
Yeah.
So what you need is mischief. And I think you understand that more than more than anyone.
I think
mischief is a wonderful thing.
Clambering for the baton. You're saying, give me in the mischief baton.
Yeah, give me the mischief baton.
I know a real witch.
Oh?
Yeah, I do know a real witch. And witch means wise, doesn't it? So the whole thing is, because they're so, kids are sold, the white witch is a good witch and the wicked witch is the west or whatever, east or, I don't know, north or, I don't know, some services somewhere down the M25.
Yeah.
But witch means wise. So witches are generally good people. So wizard means wise. So the wizards and the witches are the wise ones.
I can't believe I've written a book about witches and I didn't know this. But yes. Well, that would bear out lots of the fairy stories where the witches do good, the same bad. You might go to that witch and she might give you a test. She might give you some kind of cryptic clue. She might give you some kind of challenge. And then she might give you a special power that you can then go on and, complete your journey with. So, that's definitely borne out by the stories. Chris, who's this witch that you know?
Kirsty Gallagher. You've met her at Carfest.
I've met Kirsty at Carfest. She never let on for a moment that she was a witch.
And you met the wizard this year as well.
Did I?
Lawrence from South Africa. And I went with the witch and the wizard, Lawrence and Kirsty, to the Magic Woods in Marlow Common, and we had a proper witchy wizardy afternoon, and they did an activation spell and prayer.
An activation spell?
Yeah.
What's that?
So they activate the energy because there's a wizard tree at the beginning of Marlow Woods, because you don't live that far away. You should
I don't live that far away. I've got to come down.
The woods are so magical, and they change. The energy changes depending on where you are in the woods, and when you're with a guide, you can feel it. Now, whether it's a story you're telling yourself or it's actually true, it doesn't matter because it's the same thing. You feel this, you sort of live by the narrative from the perspective that you're witnessing every minute of every day.
We're getting to the good stuff.
Yes.
We're getting to the good stuff. Why do you think all fairy tales take place in a woods? The woods. This book series is called the Fairy Tale Woods. All these little fairy tale characters, they populate a woods. All fairy tales start in a woods, and I think that's a fascinating thing.
Yeah.
When we go into a woods, my theory is we came from the trees.
Yeah.
So when we go into a woods, we feel a special power and a sense
Without
of
question.
An ancient form of ourselves. We know that the trees in a woods are capable of communicating with each other. So there's this thing called the mycelium underneath the floor of the forest, where these strands of fungi. So when you see mushrooms in a forest, that is like the fruit of the mycelium, which is this huge underground organic network, connects all the trees and helps the trees communicate. So the trees know you're there. When you're walking on the forest floor, when you're walking through the woods, the trees are sensing you and communicating with each other and telling each other about your presence. So you're absolutely right that that woods knows you're there and responds to your presence.
My favourite collective tree mycelium network intelligence story is the leaves.
We've all got one, haven't we?
Yeah, mine's the leaves. The leaves, when the cows eat the leaves on the tree.
Yeah, and they send a signal to the other leaves. Other trees to tell them to make their leaves taste bitter so that the cows won't eat them.
Isn't that amazing?
It's incredible.
It's so cool. It's the best.
So awesome.
When I'm walking through the woods, with or without the wizard and the witch, I always walk with my palms out, my arms outstretched, and my palms facing upwards, so I can take in the energy.
That's
and
beautiful.
It really, I think it works. And if I think it works, like if we think anything at the time, it's real in the moment.
100% works.
I think it works.
I live in a woods. My house is in the middle of a woods.
I would love to live in a woods.
And I write my stories in a woods, like a proper fairy tale woods. And here's a really, really true thing that happened.
Ben, I love all this.
I was writing a story about Sleeping Beauty. And in Sleeping Beauty, the roses grow up, don't they? And they come in through the doors.
Yeah.
When I was writing that story, a rose bramble grew up outside the window and grew in through the doors. It's like the trees were reading the book on the screen.
The trees may well have been writing the book.
Yeah.
And in many ways they were. So again, up in Marlow Common, there's an old monastery. And it's beautiful. And the first time I ever saw it, I went, is that a monastery? And they went, yeah. I said, that's amazing. And it's so ornate and so beautiful. Somebody lives there now. So imagine the monastery in the woods. I'm thinking, God, I would love to. Because we live by the river. Right. We're so lucky. But I would swap the river for the woods. And I was thinking, you don't see many houses in woods. Is that purely because it's dangerous? And I'm not being facetious here. It's because of falling branches and things. Because you can live near a woods, you can live in a clearing in a woods, but you don't see many houses or lodges in a wood.
No, you don't. You occasionally do, and it's quite striking when you do. There's a walk that I go on in Gloucestershire with a wood much bigger than ours, and there is a house that's just recently been built in the middle of it. It's a fascinating thing to do. I would feel so. Half of my house is surrounded by these woods, and you're right. There is a thing when the wind kicks up. So what you want to do is put the woods in the right place. So when the
prevailing winds,
it's sheltering you from the wind. It's not going to fall on top of the house. But we have had a tree come down and go through a shed. It could have gone through our house. On the other side, though, there's no that looks out across the valley, and there's no woods. I would feel. It would be high energy to be in a place where you're totally surrounded by
so magical
by trees. Really magical.
So magical.
Yeah.
And whenever I go in there, I'm thinking, this would be the best thing ever, just the best thing ever. Because I used to think it'd be really claustrophobic, but that's probably because I was feeling claustrophobic from the inside out, and now I can't imagine. Whether it's the sun, there's the dappled sunlight coming through, the waxed leaves of a late summer, or the more translucent same leaves of an early spring, when the leaves light up because they're still so thin. Do you know what I mean? And they're almost magnifying the light than deflecting the light. Or then it starts raining, but the coverage is so sort of comprehensive that you can hear the rain, but you can't feel the rain. And we Kirsty and I talked about doing a pilgrimage for a walk from the woods, a woodnick. We were going to call it a woodnick. Invite people to come to the woods and sit down, and we all sit down and we all activate the energy, and we all have a proper you bring all your own stuff. It's all free.
A bit of black magic. It's nothing weird. You bring a cauldron.
Other chocolates are available.
Nothing. Yeah.
And you sit in the woods and you just because the smell. And then when you see all the great natural history programs, don't you? And the super slow-mo of a big raindrop hitting the earth and then exploding all the different layers of all the things, all the deciduous stratum that's happened over the last 100 years.
Hundreds and hundreds of years in some cases.
And do you ever? I do this quite a lot. I go in the woods and I get a handful of salt and I just stick it in my nose and I just smell everything that's going on there. It's got to be good for you, that, hasn't it?
Will you invite me if you do this pilgrimage thing? No, of course not. But I am going to do that. And the next time I go in the woods, I'm going to take a big handful of, can we call it mulch?
Yeah. Not too big because you don't want to disrupt the environment. You don't want to disrupt the
environment. You've got to be respectful to the
I
environment.
mean, the best
Small handful of mulch.
The best way to do it, the most respectful way is not take anything up and just lie face down. Literally, lie prostate, prone.
Yeah.
And just...
Chris is now lying on the floor with his face in an imaginary pile of mulch.
I won't tell you what our carpet in the studio smells like.
Probably getting a kick off
I've never smelled anything like that before.
And there's hundreds of years of
broadcasting.
Yeah.
But no, if you do lie prone, face into the, because what happens is it focuses all the senses.
Yeah.
You know, and like we had a lady on the other day, Dr. Tara Swart, and she's a neuroscientist, and she says, you know, we don't have 5 senses, we don't have 6 senses, we have 37 senses.
37?
Yeah, most of them that have automatically switched off because your body's very efficient, and because we've overconfident and overconvenienced our lives, over apparatus our lives. They've all switched themselves to going, you don't need us now, but you can wake them up and you can train them. And when you're in the woods, it sort of does that. It begins to do that for you.
All being woken up, isn't it? I tell you, there's a very interesting thing. You mentioned neuroscience.
Yeah.
There's this very interesting results at the moment that it's called the Flynn effect, which is that they noticed that IQ is going up since the 1930s. IQ has just gone up and up and up, about 3 points a year throughout the whole of the world population. It started to sort of peak in the 1990s, and it started to come down again. And we're kind of coming full circle here, because I think this is connected with stories and connected with reading. Nobody's reading as much anymore. And one of those things about those 36 senses in neuroscience is no one is born able to read. So when you learn to read, as when you're a kid or even now you pick up a book, you are literally rewiring your brain. There's a circuit in our brain for language. There's no circuit for reading. So what happens when you read a book is that it co-opts. So it'll go into your brain. It'll say, okay, facial recognition. We'll have that. Okay, over here, auditory circuit over here, and we'll take the language circuit, thank you very much, and we'll mash all those together and we'll wire them all up and we'll make a reading circuit. This is one of the reasons that reading is so important for kids, and one of the reasons I believe that the IQ curve is coming down is because their brains are not getting rewired by having this early experience of reading.
That was just good. That was just good. That's just that. That's just for that. That was good. How good was that? How good was that? That was unbelievable. I mean, what a way to get back to your book. I mean, you did some heavy lifting there. He thought, I'll get Evans back on the book if it kills me. And it nearly did. It's funny, isn't it? Because we are the only species who can teach ourselves to read, and we're the only species who needs to teach ourselves to swim.
Needs to teach ourselves to swim.
Do you know that?
Same kind of thing. So many behaviours, as you're talking about neuroscience, that we exactly co-opt, rewire our brains. And it is even true as an adult, though. Because, for example, I stopped reading. I stopped reading sort of in my late 20s and early 30s, and I picked it up again. You can just by picking up any book, you can start to make yourself smarter just by a little bit of reading every day.
It's ridiculous. I read 5 books this week for the show.
Amazing.
I read 2 on one day. No, that was last week, wasn't it? I read Dr. Tara Swart's book. Which was a neuroscience book, and it's about intuition, on the same day as I read Tim Berners-Lee life story. I read one book at school the whole time. I read 2 books in 4 or 5 hours last week. Yeah. And I'm not larging it by that, I'm not flexing. I'm just saying.
But it's a muscle, isn't it?
Oh, God.
But it is a muscle.
Do you know what? I love reading now.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. I'm so lucky. I have to read books for a living, including yours, Ben. It's beautiful. Diary of a Wicked Witch. She's up before the beak. She's in jail. She's been very naughty.
She's so naughty.
And she goes on a wickedness management course. Yeah? And if you are a witch listening, as long as you haven't been on one in the last 3 years, you too can go on one.
You too can go on. You are eligible to go on a wickedness management
you can take
course.
the points or go on the course.
Yeah, your choice. Your choice.
Ben, great to see you, man.
Great to see you.
Was it worth the journey?
Oh, it's always with Jean.
Promise.
I don't get to have these conversations anywhere. I mean, I don't get only with you, and it's wonderful. It's wonderful.
You're the
to be
best,
here.
man.
Thank you.
Let's hear it for Ben Miller, because we love Ben anyway, and he's really good at writing kids' books. Ben Miller's Fairy Tale Woods, Diary of a Wicked Witch. It's really good. Illustrated by Elisa Paganelli. Paganelli.
Sì. Grazie.
My favourite Italian restaurant joke.
Go on.
It's a true story. One of my mates was out in his fledgling years with a girl, and he'd never taken a girl to a restaurant before, and he was trying to impress her, and he took her to an Italian restaurant, and the waiter said, sir, and for you, and he said, I'll have the paglioni. He said, sir, it's page one. True story. True story. Take the Italy paglioni.
This is a page one, and this is a page two.
This is a page two. I'll have the paglioni too. No, it's a page two.
Yeah, it's a page two, please.
All right, gotta go. Thanks, Ben.
Thank you.
Singing Death in Paradise. I wonder if you're at that time where you have begun to miss it.
Well, I think you do. There's a certain point in your life you just get a little bit nostalgic.
Yeah.
Definitely get nostalgic for Death in Paradise. It was a most incredible experience. The island, I think what people don't understand necessarily about Death in Paradise is how remote it is. So Guadeloupe is sort of in the shape of a butterfly. Imagine those two wings. There's one wing where the major port is, where the airport is, where everything happens. It's quite, it's developed. And then the other wing is this completely magical rainforest with an active volcano. It's just the most incredible place. When we first went there to film, there was never anyone on the beaches. Those beaches, you'd think, do we clear those beaches? No, there was nobody there. That was not a sort of tourist island. It was very, very remote. There's just one road, little tiny road running around the whole edge of the island. When I went back, so it was quite a beautiful thing. On the 10th series, they invited me to come back as my own ghost in the show.
No.
So I went back to the island, and it was just wonderful to see how it changed. So there's all kinds of little shacks have sprung up on the beach. The houses are painted brightly in that kind of Caribbean style. There's a whole kind of there's a whole kind of change, really, really wonderful change on that particular island. And what I did was go sort of wandering. There's a shack in the show. There's a shack that's on a particular beach. I think it's called Petite Anse, which just means little beach. And you can walk there. So I thought, I'll walk to the shack. And I got out, so I parked my car, and I walked out along the beach. The whole island is surrounded by beach. And in the distance, I can see lights. And they're filming in the shack. And I get there and I meet Ralph Little filming a scene.
I couldn't believe it. I thought it was an Anton Deck thing. Superb.
I meet Ralph Little filming a scene in Death in Paradise in the shack.
Great story. All right, we've got to go now. Thanks, Ben, for that little reprise of the interview. Well, let's hear it for Ben one more time. Ben Miller. Have a great weekend, everyone.